The large ship appeared in Earth's sky without warning. It glided silently over New York City, casting a shadow over the United Nations building. People stopped and stared up at it. Some ran. Some took pictures. But no one panicked. Humans had been waiting for this day for a long time. Inside the United Nations, Director Wilson stood by the window, watching the ship land in the large open area that had been cleared for just such an event. He straightened his tie and took a deep breath. "Are we ready?" he asked the room of officials behind him. General Rogers nodded. "As ready as we'll ever be." The aliens had picked the perfect time. During a full UN meeting with representatives from all Earth nations present. Maybe that was the point. Wilson wondered if they had been watching Earth for a while. 4 hours later, the UN General Assembly room was quiet. Ambassador Gray of the Galactic Council stood at the podium. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. He spoke perfect English. "The Galactic Council welcomes Earth to the interstellar community," Gray said, his voice smooth and confident. "We bring you the standard integration package. It is most generous." Wilson watched as Gray's assistants handed out tablets to each nation's representative. The room filled with the sound of tapping screens as everyone read through the document. Wilson's face didn't change as he read, but his stomach tightened. The generous package was anything but. Earth would have to give 30% of all its resources to the Council. Earth's military would be limited to peacekeeping forces only. Earth would get one non-voting seat on the Council. Earth would have to follow all Council rules without question. Earth would become, in simple terms, a colony. "We thank the Council for this offer," Wilson said carefully. "We will need time to discuss it." Gray's smile didn't reach his eyes. "There is nothing to discuss. This is the standard package. All new species sign it." "All of them?" asked the representative from Kenya. "In 4,000 years of Council expansion, every species has accepted our generous terms," Gray said proudly. "It is the way things are done." Wilson stood up. "Ambassador Gray on Earth, we negotiate such important agreements. We would like to suggest some changes." The room went completely quiet. Gray's smile disappeared. He looked genuinely confused. "Changes?" he repeated, as if he'd never heard the word before. "The Council does not negotiate with primitive worlds." The word primitive sent a ripple of anger through the room. Wilson stayed calm. "Perhaps we can find a middle ground," Wilson offered. "A partnership that benefits both Earth and the Council." Gray's confusion turned to something that looked like panic. He quickly collected his tablets. "I see Earth is not ready for integration," he said stiffly. "I will report to the Council. You have 1 Earth month to reconsider your mistake." With that, Ambassador Gray and his team left the room. General Rogers moved to Wilson's side. "That went well," he said with heavy sarcasm. "We knew this might happen," Wilson replied. "Plan B it is." "You think they'll attack?" Wilson watched through the window as Gray's ship took off. "I think they're used to getting their way. We just surprised them." The next day, Wilson met with Earth's leadership in a secure room deep under the Rocky Mountains. The mood was serious but determined. "The Galileo station reports the alien ship has left our solar system," a young officer announced. "Good," Wilson said. "That gives us time." He turned to the screens showing leaders from around the world. "Start full production on the defense systems. All the prototype ships go into service now. And activate all the sleeper agents we have in near space." One of the leaders on screen looked worried. "Is war the only option now?" Wilson shook his head. "No, but we need to be ready for it. The Council expected us to bow down like everyone else. When we didn't, we changed the game. Now we need to show them that humans don't play by their rules." "And what rules do we play by?" asked another leader. Wilson's expression was firm. "Our own. Earth is not for sale. Earth does not surrender. And Earth joins as an equal or not at all." The room filled with determined nods. And so began humanity's first steps into a larger universe, not with a handshake, but with a refusal to kneel. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was normally a place of order and calm. Not today. Today, it was filled with loud voices and nervous movement. Over 200 alien species were represented in the massive room. Some looked almost human. Others were completely different. Some with multiple arms or eyes, others made of strange materials, a few floating in special tanks. In the center of the chaos stood Ambassador Gray, trying to explain what had happened on Earth. They refused to sign. He repeated for the third time. They asked to negotiate the terms. High Chancellor Trill slammed his fist on the table. Trill was from an old, powerful species. His red skin and 6 eyes made him look angry even when he wasn't. Right now, he was very angry. Negotiate? No primitive species has ever dared to suggest such a thing. Trill's voice boomed through the chamber. This is an insult to the Council's authority. Science Director Mira moved forward. She was small, with smooth gray skin and large, gentle eyes. But her voice was strong. Perhaps we should consider their request, she suggested. The reports on humans show they are unusual. Unusual how? Asked another council member. Mira touched her screen, and images of Earth appeared on the large displays around the room. Humans have gone from basic flight to space exploration in less than 100 years, she explained. Most species take 3 or 4 times that long. The room grew quiet as everyone looked at the images. But their ships are primitive, someone pointed out. They have barely left their own solar system. True, said Mira, but there's something else odd about them. She changed the display to show human movies and TV shows, scenes played from various science fiction films, humans fighting alien invaders, humans surviving against all odds, humans uniting to overcome powerful enemies. For the past 100 years, they've been telling stories about meeting aliens, Mira continued. And in many of these stories, they fight and win against more advanced species. High Chancellor Trill waved his hand dismissively. Stories, fiction, fantasy. Perhaps, Mira agreed, but it shows how they think. They don't expect to submit. They expect to either befriend aliens as equals or fight them off. Ambassador Gray nodded. That matches what I saw. They were not afraid or impressed by our technology. They acted like they expected to be treated as equals. Ridiculous. Trill shouted. They must be taught their place in the order of things. The chamber erupted in debate. Some council members supported Trill, demanding immediate military action. Others urged caution, suggesting they learn more about humans first. After hours of argument, Trill called for a vote. We will send a small fleet to Earth as a show of force, he announced. 10 warships should be enough to make these humans understand their position. The vote passed, though not unanimously. Science Director Mira and several others voted against it. As the council members left the chamber, Mira approached Trill. This is a mistake, she said quietly. The humans will not react like other species. All primitive species react the same way to superior power, Trill replied confidently. They bow down. I'm not so sure, Mira said. I've been studying their military history. When faced with stronger enemies, humans rarely surrender right away. They often fight harder. Then they will learn the hard way, Trill said with a cruel smile. Fleet Commander Dax will show them what happens to worlds that defy the Council. Mira watched him walk away, worry clear on her face. In a private room nearby, Fleet Commander Dax was already planning the mission. Dax was a military leader with many victories to his name. His species was known for their strategic thinking and fighting skills. But as he studied the information about Earth, he felt uneasy. Why would they refuse to sign? He muttered to himself. What do they know that we don't? One of his officers suggested, maybe they're just stubborn and ignorant. Maybe, Dax said, not convinced. Or maybe they have something we haven't seen yet. He zoomed in on images of Earth's small space fleet. The ships were basic, with visible weapons that posed no threat to Council warships. And yet, something didn't feel right. Why would a planet with such primitive defenses dare to challenge the Galactic Council? "Prepare the fleet," Dax ordered. "We leave for Earth in 6 hours." But he added, his voice serious, "Be alert for anything unusual. These humans may have surprises waiting for us." As the Council warships prepared to jump to Earth's solar system, no one noticed a small, unmarked ship quietly leaving the Council space station. Inside, a figure sent a brief encrypted message toward Earth. "They're coming. 10 warships. Prepare yourselves." Admiral Porter stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiant, Earth's largest warship. It wasn't very large compared to alien ships, but it was the best Earth had, or at least the best that the Galactic Council knew about. "Council fleet has entered the solar system," reported Officer Bell from her station. 10 warships, just as our source said. Porter nodded. He was an older man with gray hair and a face that showed years of tough decisions. "Are all our ships in position?" "Yes, sir. 20 ships at the edge of the system, holding formation. 20 against 10. But Earth ships were smaller, with less advanced weapons. At least, that's what the Council believed. "All ships maintain position," Porter ordered. "No aggressive moves. But be ready." The warning from their secret friend on the Council station had given Earth time to prepare. Not that they needed much time. Earth had been preparing for this day for decades. On the main screen, the Council warships appeared. They were huge, gleaming vessels with powerful weapons clearly visible. "They're trying to scare us," said Captain Reed, standing beside Porter. "Show of force." Porter grunted. "Let's show them something different. Broadcast the message on all frequencies." Within moments, every Council ship received the same simple message. Earth is not for sale. Earth does not surrender. Earth is willing to join as equals or not at all. On the lead Council ship, Fleet Commander Dax received the message with surprise. He had expected the humans to either attack foolishly or immediately beg for mercy when they saw his fleet. This calm statement was unsettling. "They're just sitting there," reported his second-in-command. "No movement toward us or away from us." Dax studied the human ships on his screen. They were positioned carefully at the edge of the solar system, not retreating into the safety of their planet's orbit. It was almost like they were protecting something. "Scan their planet," Dax ordered suddenly. "Full deep scan." His officers looked confused, but followed the order. The results came back quickly. "Energy readings are strange," one officer said, frowning at her screen. "There are power signatures we can't identify, much stronger than expected for their technology level." Dax felt a chill run down his spine. "Scan their ships again. Look for anything hidden." While the scans ran, Dax opened a communication channel to the human ships. "This is Fleet Commander Dax of the Galactic Council. Your refusal to accept Council terms is unacceptable. You will submit or face consequences." Admiral Porter's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm, almost relaxed. "This is Admiral Porter of Earth's Space Defense Force. We have no wish for conflict. We are open to fair negotiation as equals. Nothing less." Dax was taken aback by the human's confidence. "You are not equals. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are weak. You have no standing to negotiate." Porter smiled slightly. "Are you sure about that?" Before Dax could answer, his scan officer called out, "Commander, these energy readings from Earth, they'd match Guardian-level technology." Guardian-level technology. That was impossible. The Guardians were an ancient, advanced species that had disappeared thousands of years ago. Their technology was far beyond even the Council's best efforts. "They're bluffing," Dax said, but doubt crept into his voice. On a smaller Council ship near the back of the formation, a young officer named Krell was getting nervous. This was his first mission, and the human's strange behavior frightened him. When a small human scout ship drifted slightly closer to take readings, Krell panicked. "They're attacking," he shouted, and fired his ship's weapons. The energy blast hit the human scout ship, damaging it badly. Everyone on both sides watched, waiting for the humans to flee or surrender. Instead, the damaged human ship turned directly toward Krell's vessel and accelerated to full speed. "What are they doing?" Krell gasped. The answer came seconds later as the human ship slammed into the Council cruiser. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. For a moment, there was silence across all channels. Then every human ship activated hidden weapon systems that had not appeared on any scans. The weapons looked different from standard Council technology, more advanced in some ways. All ships, defensive positions. Dax ordered, but it was too late. The brief battle that followed shocked the Council fleet. 5 of their ships were severely damaged or destroyed before Dax ordered a retreat. As the remaining Council ships jumped away from Earth's solar system, Admiral Porter turned to Captain Reed. "And so it begins," Porter said quietly. "Send word to Earth. It's time for Phase 2. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was in complete chaos. Council members shouted over each other, demanding explanations. On the main screen, footage of the battle with the humans played on repeat. Everyone watched as the damaged human scout ship deliberately crashed into a Council cruiser, destroying both ships. High Chancellor Trill's voice finally cut through the noise. Silence. The room quieted instantly. Fleet Commander Dax stood in the center of the chamber, looking tired and defeated. 5 ships lost, he reported. 3 completely destroyed, 2 damaged beyond repair. Against a supposedly primitive species. How is this possible? Trill demanded. Their technology should be no match for ours. The humans have technology they shouldn't have, Dax said. Their weapons are different. Some appear to be based on Guardian designs. The chamber erupted again at the mention of Guardians. The ancient advanced species had disappeared thousands of years ago, leaving behind mysteries and fragments of their incredible technology. Science Director Mira stepped forward. "We need to understand what happened. Show us the sensor readings from the battle." The displays changed to show complex data from the Council ships. Mira studied them carefully, her expression growing more concerned. "These energy signatures are indeed similar to Guardian technology," she confirmed, "but modified, adapted. It's like they took Guardian concepts and developed them in a new direction." "But how did humans get Guardian technology?" someone asked. "They've barely left their solar system." In a quiet corner of the chamber, Intelligence Officer Reed was reviewing a different set of data. He was human-looking except for his golden eyes and the small ridges on his forehead. As the debate continued, he approached Trill and whispered something. Trill's eyes widened. "Everyone, listen," Trill commanded. "Intelligence has made a discovery." Reed stepped forward nervously. "We've been analyzing Earth broadcasts and communications for years. We found references in their secret government files to something called Project Fallen Star. It appears that humans have been recovering and reverse engineering crashed alien ships for at least 70 Earth years. Images appeared on the screen showing blurry photos of crash sites and strange metal pieces being studied in labs. Not just any ships," Reed continued. "Some of the crashes match the flight paths of missing Guardian research vessels from centuries ago." The Council members looked at each other in shock. They'd been hiding this technology, Trill said angrily, pretending to be primitive while secretly building weapons from Guardian designs. "That's not all," Reed added. "They've been preparing for contact with other species for decades. Their military has detailed plans for different scenarios, including hostile first contact." Dax nodded slowly. "That explains their response. They were ready for us." "This changes everything," Trill declared. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought. We must send a larger fleet immediately to subdue them before they become an even greater threat." Science Director Mira raised her hand. "Chancellor, I urge caution. If humans could defeat 5 of our warships with just 20 of theirs, what might they do against a larger force? We might trigger a full-scale war." "War," Trill laughed harshly. The Council has faced many stubborn species before. None have ever truly challenged our power. None were like the humans, Mira insisted. Look at their history. When attacked, they don't surrender, they fight harder. When cornered, they become more innovative. Before Trill could respond, an urgent message appeared on the main screen. The council member from the Arconian system looked panicked. High Chancellor, we have a situation. Human representatives have arrived in our system. They're offering trade agreements and military alliances without council approval. And they're not the only ones. Reports are coming in from at least 15 systems. Trill's face darkened with rage. They dare to bypass the council. This is an outrage. What kind of agreements are they offering? Mira asked the Arconian representative. Fair trade terms, technology sharing, mutual defense. Many of our people find their offers attractive. Trill slammed his fist down. This is rebellion. Any system that deals directly with Earth will face council sanctions. But even as he spoke, more reports flooded in. Human diplomatic ships had appeared in dozens of systems, especially those with newer, less powerful council members, and they were being welcomed. This is their counterattack, Dax realized. Not with ships, but with diplomacy. Reed nodded grimly. The battle in space was just the beginning. Now the real war starts. A war for the hearts and minds of the galaxy. Director Wilson stood before the representatives of 30 different alien species. They had gathered in a large dome-shaped room on a neutral space station at the edge of what humans call the Orion Arm. It was Earth's first official diplomatic summit with other worlds. Earth does not seek to disrupt the galaxy, Wilson said calmly. We simply believe all species deserve fair treatment and equal standing. A tall, orange-skinned alien named Jor stepped forward. His species, the Trillians, had been council members for only 50 years. The council claims you are dangerous rebels who refuse to follow galactic traditions. Wilson smiled slightly. Is it rebellion to ask for fair treatment? Let me ask you this. How much of your world's resources does the council take each year? 25%, Jor answered. And what do you get in return? Jor hesitated. Protection. Limited technology sharing. Trade routes. Wilson nodded. Earth offers a different arrangement. Fair trade based on what each world needs. Full technology sharing. And mutual defense where all partners have an equal voice. The room filled with quiet conversation as the representatives discussed among themselves. Many looked interested, even hopeful. Meanwhile, on the council homeworld, High Chancellor Trill was holding an emergency meeting with his closest advisors. The humans have contacted half the council worlds in just 2 weeks, he shouted. This is an organized attack on our authority. A council member from a wealthy old world spoke up. Perhaps we should simply destroy Earth and be done with it. Science Director Mira shook her head. That would be a terrible mistake. Many worlds are watching how we handle this situation. If we attack Earth after they've made peaceful diplomatic offers, we will lose even more support. What are they offering that has so many worlds interested? Trill demanded. Intelligence Officer Reeb displayed a document on the main screen. This is a standard Earth treaty. They're offering technology the Council has been keeping from newer members. What technology? Asked Trill, his voice dangerous. Reed looked uncomfortable. Advanced medical systems. Faster drives for smaller ships. Energy production methods that don't require rare resources. These are technologies we deliberately withhold to maintain order. Trill exploded. Exactly, said Mira quietly. The humans are offering what we have denied. They claim that lifting all boats creates a stronger, more stable galaxy than maintaining artificial hierarchies. Trill paced the room angrily. We must stop this. Prepare sanctions against any world that signs treaties with Earth. We've already threatened sanctions, Reed pointed out. It isn't working. 17 worlds have signed agreements anyway. Back at the diplomatic summit, Wilson was showing the alien representatives something that made their eyes widen in surprise. "This is a water purification system we developed," he explained. "It's simple to build but can clean water for millions of people. We're sharing the design with all of you today, no treaty required." This is a gesture of goodwill. A blue-skinned representative spoke up. "The Council would charge us millions of credits for such technology." "Earth believes some things should be freely shared," Wilson replied. "Clean water, basic medicine, food production methods. These are rights, not privileges to be sold to the highest bidder." As the summit continued, a small ship docked at the station. Science Director Mira stepped out, looking nervous. She had come without official permission. Wilson met her in a private room. "Director Mira, this is unexpected. I needed to understand," she said simply. "The Council has existed for thousands of years. Our system brings stability." "Does it?" Wilson asked. "Or does it just keep the powerful worlds powerful and the rest dependent?" Mira had no answer for that. Instead, she asked, "How do humans develop so differently? Most species accept the hierarchy of the galaxy." Wilson smiled. "Perhaps because we spent thousands of years divided on our own world. We learned the hard way that true peace comes from equality and mutual respect, not from forcing others to submit." Mira looked troubled. "The Council is preparing a larger response, military and economic. They won't let this challenge go unanswered." "We expected that," Wilson said, "but every world that joins us makes conflict less likely. The Council can fight Earth, but can they fight half the galaxy?" As Wilson and Mira talked, messages arrived from 7 more worlds wishing to join Earth's growing alliance. The Council's grip on the galaxy was weakening, and everyone knew it. The diplomatic offensive was working better than Earth had dared to hope. Science Director Mira couldn't sleep. After her secret meeting with Director Wilson, she had returned to the Council homeworld with more questions than answers. How had humans developed such a different view of galactic relations? Why were they so resistant to the established order? Mira made her way to the Ancient Records Hall, a vast library containing the history of the Galactic Council. Very few people ever came here. The Council preferred that most species focus on the present, not the past. "Computer, search for any records regarding planet Earth or the Sol system," Mira instructed. The computer hummed. No official contact records found prior to Ambassador Gray's visit. Mira frowned. "Expand search. Include unofficial records, scout reports, and observational data." Searching. 1 record found. Security clearance required. That was odd. Why would an old report about a primitive planet need security clearance? Override. Science Director authorization. Mira 7 Delta 9. A moment passed. Override accepted. Displaying record. The screen lit up with a report dated nearly 10,000 years ago. Mira's eyes widened as she read. Scout report. Sol system. 3rd planet. Designation. Earth. Scout team. Captain Zener. Research Team 6. Date. 37th cycle. 4th era. Initial observations of the dominant species, humans, reveal concerning patterns. While technologically primitive, using basic stone tools and early agriculture, these beings show unusual developmental potential. Unlike most species we have encountered, humans display a rare combination of traits: highly cooperative within groups, intensely competitive between groups, rapid adaptation to environmental challenges, strong tendency to unite against external threats. Most concerning is their unusual ability to form alliances with unlike beings. Humans have domesticated numerous animal species not for food alone, but as companions and working partners. This suggests they may someday form powerful alliances with other sentient species. Recommendation: Earth is classified as too dangerous to CO and take T. This system should remain isolated until the humans either destroy themselves or evolve past their aggressive tendencies. Under no circumstances should they be allowed to develop space travel technology. If they achieve interstellar capabilities, they may pose a significant challenge to Council authority within 1,000 years. Note: This report is sealed by order of High Chancellor Locks. Mira sat back, stunned. The Council had known about Earth 10,000 years ago. They had marked humans as dangerous even when they were still using stone tools. And everything the ancient scouts had feared was now happening. As she read further into the report, Mira found details of a plan to occasionally send ships near Earth, allowing some to accidentally crash, providing humans with small pieces of advanced technology. The goal was to guide human development along predictable paths that the Council could monitor and control. They were trying to shape human evolution, Mira whispered to herself, but it backfired. The humans took those technology pieces and developed them in ways no one expected. A noise made Mira look up. Intelligence Officer Reed stood in the doorway. "I thought I might find you here," he said quietly. "Did you know about this?" Mira asked, pointing to the report. Reed nodded slowly. "I found it 3 days ago. The Council has been manipulating Earth for thousands of years, trying to control their development. But humans are unpredictable. And now we've triggered exactly what the ancient scouts warned against," Mira said. "By approaching them with demands instead of respect, we've united them against an external threat. Us." Reed's face was grim. "It's worse than that. Look at the latest reports." He showed Mira his datapad. 28 Council worlds had now signed agreements with Earth. Many others were in talks. "The oldest Council strategy is failing," Reed said. "For thousands of years, we've kept member worlds dependent and divided. Earth is offering independence and unity." Mira stood up, her decision made. "I need to speak with High Chancellor Trill immediately." Trill was not pleased to be woken in the middle of the night. He was even less pleased when Mira showed him the ancient report. "This changes nothing," he insisted. "The humans are still defying Council authority. They must be stopped." "Don't you see?" Mira argued. "The Council created this situation. We've been afraid of humans for 10,000 years, and our fear has created the very threat we tried to prevent." "What would you have me do?" Trill demanded. "Let them tear apart the galactic order we've maintained for millennia." Mira took a deep breath. "I would have you negotiate with them, as equals, before it's too late." Trill stared at her in shock. "You sound like a human yourself." "Perhaps," Mira said. "After all this time, the humans have something to teach us." Emergency session of the Galactic Council had gone on for 4 days straight. The Grand Chamber, usually so orderly, now showed signs of the marathon debate. Discarded food containers, wrinkled clothing, and exhausted representatives slumped in their seats. High Chancellor Trill looked worse than anyone. His normally bright red skin had faded to a dull orange. His 6 eyes were bloodshot and tired. "Where is Ambassador Gray?" he demanded. He should have returned from Earth by now. As if summoned by Trill's words, the main doors opened. Ambassador Gray entered the chamber. Everyone noticed immediately that something was wrong. Gray moved slowly, his usual confidence gone. "Ambassador," Trill called out. "What news from Earth? Have the humans finally seen reason?" Gray reached the center of the chamber and looked around at the assembled representatives. His voice was quiet but carried to every corner of the room. "They're not coming to the Council," he announced. "They're building their own." Silence fell over the chamber. "What does that mean?" Trill asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. Gray gestured, and a large displays around the room activated. They showed images from across the galaxy, representatives from dozens of worlds signing documents, shaking hands with humans, celebrating. "They're calling it the Galactic Alliance," Gray said. 37 worlds have already joined. Equal membership for all, shared technology, mutual defense, democratic decision-making. 37. Someone gasped. "That's nearly a third of all Council worlds." Trill's face darkened with rage. "This is rebellion. Treason. We'll crush this so-called alliance with the full might of the Council fleet." Science Director Mira stepped forward. "Chancellor, I must advise against military action. Many of these worlds have already received defensive technology from Earth. A war would be devastating for all sides. We cannot allow this challenge to our authority. Trill insisted. I call for a vote, Mira said firmly. The council bylaws allow for a full vote on matters of war and peace. Trill glared at her, but could not refuse. Very well. Those in favor of military action against the human alliance, show your marks. The voting system activated. Each representative pressed their choice on their personal console. The results appeared on the main screen for all to see. Trill stared in disbelief. The vote had failed. Not enough members supported war. This is impossible, he whispered. No, Chancellor, said Gray. It is inevitable. Too many worlds have suffered under council rules for too long. The humans simply offered them something better. One of the older council members spoke up. Perhaps we should consider reforms. Changes to our approach. Reform the council. Trill laughed bitterly. After 5,000 years. Or watch it fall, Mira said quietly. Across the galaxy, on a newly built space station orbiting Earth, Director Wilson stood beside Science Director Mira. She had left the council 2 days ago, one of many officials who had defected to join the Alliance. Together, they watched from an observation deck as ships from dozens of worlds arrived for the first full assembly of the Galactic Alliance. I never thought I would see this day, Mira said. So many different species, coming together as equals. Wilson nodded. It's just the beginning. We have much work to do. The council will not give up easily, Mira warned. Trill and the old guard will fight to maintain their power. We know, Wilson agreed. But every day, more worlds join us. The balance is shifting. Mira turned to look at him. I have to ask something. Was it always your plan to break the council? From the moment Gray arrived on Earth with his demands. Wilson smiled slightly, watching as a beautiful crystalline ship from a distant world docked at the station. We didn't come to break anything, he said. We came to build something better. The council can join us whenever they're ready to negotiate, as equals. In the distance, a small council observer ship watched the gathering. Inside, Ambassador Gray made his report directly to High Chancellor Trill. The first Alliance Assembly begins tomorrow, he said. Representatives from 42 worlds now. Trill's image on the screen showed his defeat. How did it come to this? One primitive world has undone thousands of years of order in just a few months. Gray looked out at the Alliance station, its lights shining brightly against the darkness of space. Perhaps, he suggested carefully, the order needed to change. And what happens now? Trill asked bitterly. Gray's answer was simple. Now we learn to negotiate. As equals.